1.
Welcome to the Asia Clean Energy Forum 2026. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the closing plenary of ASAP 2026. Thank you all for the past few days for participating in this year's forum and making it a truly remarkable event.
We hope you've had productive and fruitful 4 days here at ASAF and are traveling back to your home countries with new ideas, new connections, and renewed energy. It's been a long week, so now let's move to our keynote speakers this afternoon.
Our first keynote message on transforming development with smart energy systems comes from UN Assistant Secretary General and Regional Director for Asia and the Pacific at the United Nations Development Program, Kani Wignaraya. She is not able to be here with us today and has sent a recorded message for us.
Excellencies, dear colleagues, it is a privilege to join you at the closing of the Asia Clean Energy Forum. Over the past days, you have explored technologies, financing models, policies, and partnerships shaping the future of energy. Now, as we close, the question before us is no longer whether we will transition, but how fast and how smartly we do so. Now, if these transitions deliver real resilience for people and economies in this volatile world, they work. We are entering a new phase of the energy equation. For too long, our grids have been functional as passive conduits, but that model is no longer sufficient to meet rising costs and rising demands. This means this next phase needs systems that have some essential features. So let me share a few. They should respond better to mixed energy inputs, be less costly to maintain, including in remote areas, and operate with new tech. They must be flexible enough to respond to changing demands in real time and capable of integrating renewables at much greater speed and scale. So in today's uncertain world, this is fundamentally about energy security, sovereignty, and resilience. Smart energy systems is both a development and a security imperative. While energy demand is rising faster in this region than anywhere else, we can see it driven by industrialization, rapid urbanization, rising wealth, and a growing middle class. But it is also about the rapid expansion of data centers and digital infrastructure. So while the supply side has taken a hit with the current conflict in the Middle East, the region still relies on fossil fuels for 85% of its energy. And we see the resurgence of coal use in many of our countries. So while renewable energy is expanding, it is struggling to keep pace with this exponential rise in demand, and to do so at lower costs. Now, the bottom line is that millions still lack affordable electricity. That is why the transition is not only about adding cleaner energy, it is also how energy systems can deliver more access, better security, and opportunity at the same time. Take Fiji as an example of this more integrated approach. With UNDP support, renewable mini-grids are bringing electricity to rural communities, while also enabling digital payments, improving water access, and unlocking new economic activity. If I move to Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan, we are supporting governments to modernize grids and de-risk investments in more efficient transmission technologies. The result is not only more reliable power, but stronger industrial and commercial activity, and ultimately, greater economic resilience. So let us take a moment to look at recent geopolitical disruptions, also as moments of opportunity. In March, Asian spot LNG prices rose by 95% month on month. So where's the opportunity? Thanks to decades of investing in energy efficiency, today's global economy produces 36% more GDP per unit of energy than it did 2 decades ago. That's a massive leap. With digital data and AI reshaping energy systems, the opportunities grow and accelerate, so these gains can also be greater. Take the case of electric vehicles. In 2025 alone, EVs avoided the use of 2.3 million barrels of oil per day, and EVs could account for over 40% of global car sales by 2030. The economics have also fundamentally shifted. Today, more than 90% of new renewable projects are cheaper than their fossil fuel alternatives. Batteries are increasingly more cost-effective than extending old grid infrastructure. And AI is already improving forecasting, strengthening grid reliability, and reducing outages, sometimes even by 50%. So, we move to the heart of your conversations these past few days. How smart energy systems will be key to the next phase of development. We know that replacing fossil fuels with renewables is essential, but it will not be enough. The next phase is about intelligence and intelligent systems. Traditional grids were built around centralized and predictable energy generation, but it was not to manage distributed assets, variable renewables, electric mobility, the need for vast storage, and this scale of demand. Without smart systems, the risks of energy systems collapse. That is very real. Many of you see this already, from congestion and curtailment to outages and to stranded assets. Smart energy systems can unlock a very different trajectory. So 3 points I would like you to consider. First, optimizing energy systems while expanding equitable access. Digital tools, data, and AI are making systems more efficient, responsive, and predictable. Investment in these digital grid technologies has increased by over 50% since 2015. So this no longer needs to be an either-or. Second, designing systems that learn and learn continuously. Geospatial tools now allow countries to link energy systems with economic activity, simulate changing demands and risks, to prioritize investments before capital is deployed. At UNDP, we support this through the Clean Energy Equity Index developed with IBM. And third, it's about building local digital and data infrastructure to expand national innovation ecosystems. Energy systems benefit from this larger, smarter ecosystem of capabilities. To illustrate, in Southeast Asia, the digital economy alone already contributes more than 20% of GDP in some countries. And AI adoption in power systems could deliver significant savings and emission reductions over the next decade in this ASEAN region. Now, my final pitch is about smart partnerships. At UNDP, we approach energy as a system that fires the engines of human development. Hence, linking energy infrastructure, policy, finance directly with social and economic outcomes. Take the small island nation of Nauru, for example. A GEF-supported UNDP project is building on ADB's solar investments to develop a smarter, more flexible island-wide grid. The aim is to displace diesel, strengthen energy security, and deliver more reliable services for people, measured in well-being outbeings, not just kilowatt hours. Now, Nepal shows how these partnerships come together, also at scale. There, ADB finance infrastructure is complemented by UNDP's long-standing work on community livelihoods and inclusion. with trusted national partners, including the Alternative Energy Promotion Center and the Nepal Electricity Authority, with support from Norway. What began as a response to energy access in remote areas is now evolving into a scalable model for local economic development as well. Financing institutions such as ADB can support the essential large-scale infrastructure, while UNDP can help ensure that these investments translate into integrated systems, local capabilities, local institutions that together deliver for human development. This will require closer coordination between various national and subnational government entities, development partners, and the private sector to de-risk investments and mobilize both public and private capital. Now, this is why UNDP is also supporting countries to translate their NDC 3.0 commitments into credible investment plans and bankable project pipelines to access more affordable finance and accelerate these smart energy transitions. If we transform energy systems to transform the lives of millions more, we all win. Thank you.
Thank you for these insightful remarks, Assistant Secretary General.
We now move to the next keynote message on Global Civil Nuclear Renaissance, a view from the United States by Elizabeth Urbanas, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Asia and the Americas at the U.S. Department of Energy. Deputy Assistant Secretary Urbanas, the floor is yours.
Can you see me over the podium? I did put high heels on purpose today. It's a real honor to be here. I'm very excited to be here and participating in this forum. I feel like it's a forum that is kind of really brings together a lot of my background, particularly in the public sector, where I worked at the Treasury Department for 14 years of my life in international affairs, served at the World Bank on the executive board. I'm very happy to be here supporting the Executive Director's Office of the US here at the Asian Bank, and then transitioned over to the Department of Energy in the United States, where I've been able to really specialize in looking at international energy issues. And I have to say the Asian Bank is a critical partner for the work that we all do to try to move forward what is a secure and flourishing energy sector that supports the economies of this region, which are increasingly important. I mean, I think as we all know, the energy demand and growth in this region really outstrips any other region in the world right now. And this has been going on for several years and will continue on into the future. I think one of the most interesting and beneficial aspects of this region is that this is a region that loves to plan. They love to take a look at, everyone's got a 5-year plan, they have an energy strategy, they update it regularly. And as a result of this, I think it allows for a lot of thinking and a lot of adjusting in how energy planning works and the choices that countries in this region make. And as a result, I think this region is best placed to take up a lot of the new energy technologies and approaches that can be innovative, while at the same time this region has a lot of specific challenges, particularly geography, a lot of archipelagic countries, a lot of distances between other countries, and a lot of variety in energy endowment. We have some countries in this region that are, have enormous energy resources, and others that are small and constrained and need more creative solutions. And I think we all recognize that this region is a region that needs to interconnect more, to encourage the reliability and the sustainability and the energy abundance that is needed for the economic growth that we see in this region. And so with that in mind, I've been asked to come here, and I spoke a little bit on civil nuclear. And I'm very pleased that the Asian Bank and the World Bank and others are moving forward to take steps to include civil nuclear into their portfolios as they look forward to their energy sector, technical assistance, capacity building, and potentially investment moving forward. You know, I've been working in this space, either at Treasury, the Treasury Department, or the Department of Energy for 26 years. I remember participating in the discussions about building the sarcophagus around Chernobyl. We built 2 of them, actually. I remember when Fukushima happened and the response to that. And always the idea of a nuclear renaissance comes up and then it goes away. I don't actually always like to refer to things as a nuclear renaissance. Hopefully this time it will actually happen while I'm still in government. And from the US perspective, I'm very optimistic. And there's a good reason for that. In the United States right now, we have dozens of small modular reactor and microreactor and advanced reactor designs that are not only being developed, but some of them are actually going critical and could be commercial and will be commercial by 2029, 2030. Obviously, nuclear is a challenge, right? It takes not just a village, but a whole lot of countries to build a nuclear reactor, and to start a nuclear program in a country is a significant undertaking. And I've been very pleased to see, and I think we had a lot of conversations in the sessions this week, that a lot of countries in this region are now seriously taking steps, moving through the IAEA milestones, looking at the infrastructure path that IAEA provides, and taking a serious look at developing an ecosystem in their country so that they can at least consider the deployment of civil nuclear energy. We all know that there are many benefits to civil nuclear energy. It can take a long time to move down that path and can be costly, but it is a long-term relationship. We talked about in our session the fact that it is like a long-term commitment, like a marriage. You've got to stay the course. There are going to be a lot of ups and downs. There might be some squabbling, some political problems. But at the end of the day, it can lead to a very stable relationship with a very clean power source that can last you up to 80 years now in the United States, where we are seeing 80-year life extensions for our nuclear power plants. And so it does provide that stable source. And with the new innovative technologies that are being developed, particularly in the United States, but in other countries as well in this region, of small modular reactors and microreactors, we do have a solution there that can be more affordable over time, and that can be more flexible and safer from the perspective of safety and security. And so we are very excited to see this region begin to look into the possibility of adopting these technologies, as well as the large traditional technologies in civil nuclear. And I think working with the ADB, with other partners in the multilateral development chain, and also with our UN partners who work in this space, I think is a way for all of us to move forward and to potentially realize the benefits of this. I mean, I think this is a region that is moving forward with several innovative approaches in interconnectivity, like the ASEAN grid, moving forward in several other areas. Is a place where we're seeing tremendous technological development with the deployment of AI, data centers, hyperscalers, and things like that. So the demand is there. The willingness in this region to develop the human capital to support these activities is there. And hopefully the ability of partner countries like the United States to support this, both through technologies, but also through financing, which is critical, and to be a partner to the multilateral development institutions in that is critical. And so we really do stand committed to working with the ADB and other development banks, and working with the regional organizations around, like ASEAN, like APEC, like a number of the other groups, and working with our other partner countries, whether that's the Japanese, the Koreans, the Australians. We're all headed in the same direction. Our companies all cross-pollinate in this space, and I think it's a really great opportunity for this region to at least begin considering moving down this pathway and increasing a lot, and bringing along with that a lot of the benefits that a civil nuclear environment has, whether that's through radioisotopes and through medical utilizations of civil nuclear technology, or just the fact that it creates a science and research and development environment in your country that can lead to a lot of interesting stuff. And so with that, I just want to say thank you for inviting me and reiterate how pleased we are to see the new directions that all the countries in this region are looking into. And we remain committed to supporting this journey and hope it goes smoothly. So I just want to thank everyone. And I want to again say that this has been a great conference, and that was a great video. It made us all look awesome. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Deputy Assistant Secretary Urbanas, for sharing your perspective and suggested way forward for development partners.
Now let us move on to our third keynote speaker, highlighting one of the key themes of this year's ASF, the role of digitalization and the digital economy. Xu Hao, Vice President Sustainable Social Value at Tencent, will deliver the message on scaling what works, a tech company's role in catalyzing Asia's clean energy innovation from lab to landscape, from pilot to partnership. The floor is yours.
Hi, distinguished guests. It's a true honor for me to join the event, the Asia Clean Energy Forum today on behalf of Tencent. It's actually only my second time visiting the ADB headquarters a little over a year ago, but we're really amazed that we already have a lot of insightful discussion and concrete collaboration over the period. So we're really excited. First, I want to share from Tencent as a technology company perspective, the topic of energy transition and also sustainability. We actually view it as almost 100% opportunity for companies like us. The reason behind it is the development of AI actually significantly boosted the energy demand for companies like us, which put us as a participant for the energy transition globally. And second, the development of digital and AI technology give us levers to actually tap into many of the issues and problems the energy transition face, so that we felt we can really help to make the transition cleaner and greener, which give us another kind of a lever to draw in the energy transition. So based on the two reasons, we felt that it is actually almost 100% opportunity, not really a challenge for us. And we are really optimistic that we can contribute and we can play a role in this journey. So second, given that kind of an overall perspective, we began to try to find relevance from Tencent's perspective, what we can do, right? So naturally, we started with how do we manage our own footprint, from how do we use renewables to supply the energy of all the additional data center and computing power we increasingly have, to how to manage our supply chain carbon emissions, leveraging the voluntary carbon market. So these give us the concrete first step into the energy transition. And in addition to that, we are also looking at where we're not only just an energy consumer, but how do we make our data center as a virtual power plant, make it more flexible ourselves, so that we're not only contributing to the issue, but also contributing to the solution. So we are working quite a lot of on quite a lot of initiatives around how we manage our own footprint. And second, we're looking at how does AI technology and digital transition can help many of the other industries to also be more sustainable and also contribute to the energy transition beyond our own footprint. So we're looking at how do we leverage AI technology, gaming technology, and broader machine learning technology to, for example, make many of the heavy industrial energy intensive industries to be electronically more flexible, so that they can contribute less to the energy, to the flexibility issues for the grid, but also helping the grid to accommodate more and more renewables. We're also looking at how does our digital technology can help some of the R&D in the universities, in the think tanks, in the academic space to accelerate the innovation in this area so that the new solution can be developed and can also be scaling up quick enough to help us manage the energy transition process. And thirdly, we're looking even further, right? Not only related to our own emission or our own footprint, not only related to the digital technology we have, but looking at what other issues we must face. So many of the challenges are still facing in the physical world. So we need to make many of the physical cleaner climate tech and clean energy technology develop fast. So we are looking at also how do we help accelerate many of the technology innovation in the physical world. And also we must looking also at the society. How does the local community cope with the issues? How does we adapt to the more and more extreme weather and adaptation issues? And that also falls in the kind of the business area that Tencent as a consumer internet company we operate in. So we also have the opportunity to mobilize many of our other business units to actually participate in this space. So I think over the past year, we're really glad that in almost all the area I just mentioned, we already have a lot of collaboration with the Asia Development Bank. Just give some quick example. For example, in the nature-based solution space, we're really pleased that we are looking at how do we develop methane reduction rice species, not only in China, but also have the potential to deploy it broadly in the Asia region. And from Tencent, we are not only committed to buy the potential carbon credits out of those projects, we're also contributing the digital technology that make the deployment of the rice species more efficiently. And the Asia Development Bank are deploying financial resources to help us jointly push the agenda forward. And also in the climate tech space, we're really pleased that we have a grant-making program that's called Carbon X, that we are supporting the energy transition in terms of long-duration energy storage technologies. And we're really pleased that we're collaborating with the Asia Development Bank and also the government of Maldives to use one of the living island as a piloting project to see whether we can achieve transition to cleaner energy, reduce the energy costs for local community, and also piloting innovative new technology, the three objectives in the same project. So in that sense, we think we really find a way to how to collaborate with Asia Development Bank, leveraging the capability we have, not only digital technology, but from a risk perspective, we're really looking at higher risk, but also higher return areas that is actually complementary with the how Asia Development Bank is actually deploying the bank's financial resources. So these are just some really quick examples. Many of the collaboration are still at early stage, but given the fast progress, we're really confident and we're super excited to continue this journey together with ADB and together with all the stakeholders in this area so that we can jointly push the agenda forward. So thank you again. It's a really pleasure to join the event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice President Xu, for your insightful words underlining the important role of innovative technology in energy transition.
All right, before we move to the informal part of the afternoon, the last round of coffee and snacks being served outside, we would like to invite ADB's Vice President for Administration and Corporate Management, HKU, to deliver the concluding remarks.
VPU, the floor is yours.
Oh boy, I'm between you and the coffee break. That's not a nice position to be in. But Never mind. Good afternoon to you all. It is indeed a great honor for me to be given the opportunity to close this year's Asia Clean Energy Forum, of course, fondly known as ACEF, to all of us with some concluding remarks. I must say, with the video and then even the presentation during the closing plenary, my head is spinning with all these amazing things that are happening out there and the great ideas that's been shared during this forum. But before I go on to provide you with my closing remarks, please allow me to thank all the organizers and the wonderful speakers who have worked very, very hard to make last few days possible. I know many of you will know that a forum of this scale doesn't happen just magically. It actually involves so many people's dedication, hard work, and probably many sleepless nights, I would suggest. You know who you are, so can I ask all of you to put your hands together to provide a big, big round of applause for all those that have done an amazing, amazing job. My heartfelt congratulations to all of you, and I'm sure there will be some wine at least flowing tonight, right? I'm assuming. Come on, Iwasaki-san, you're gonna let them celebrate in style. As I stand before you to bring the 21st ACEF to close, I can't help but make the following observation. And I know this observation has already been made by the Assistant Secretary General of UNDP. In its 21 years of history, I would argue that this year's ACEF was held against the most challenging and complex energy environment that our region has ever experienced. I know it sounds really, really, extreme, but I actually really deeply believe that. Amongst many other things, we are experiencing an energy shock and other disruptions caused by the Middle East conflict, as you all know. Now, you may say, oh, we've seen energy shocks before. In fact, in 2022, the energy shock triggered largely by the conflict in Ukraine and global supply bottlenecks caused natural gas oil prices to skyrocket, leading to global inflation, forced reduction in production, and massive government interventions to stabilize economies. Remember? It was a few years ago. Right? And you'd be right to point that out. But I'd suggest that there are some key differences between that shock and this one we're going through right now that makes this one much worse for Asia and the Pacific. First, the Russian invasion of Ukraine primarily impacted Europe, where oil and gas is consumed mostly for household heating and transportation. The Middle East conflict, on the other hand, affects Asia and the Pacific directly. Japan and Korea, for example, source more than 70% of their crude oil imports from the Middle East. Furthermore, we know that this crude oil, this energy, is a critical, essential input to many manufacturing activities that goes on in the region. It's not just for household consumption. Thus, any increase in price or supply disruption can lead to major, severe, cascading supply chain effects. In fact, just recently I was told South Korea provides 20% of US's aviation fuel. Just think about that. So from their refineries, South Korea can't secure enough supply or the price is high, just imagine the impact that's going to have through aviation industry in the US. So we're talking about global impacts here, global impacts. The potential economic impacts are so great that in April, ADB provided 2 negative scenarios for the region's economic outlook. ADB takes this seriously. We know our members are hurting. The first scenario is if the Middle East disruptions continue to the third quarter of 2026. Well, guess what, everyone? We're in June already. The third quarter is only round the corner. It says that if the scenario eventuates, ADB's forecast is that developing Asia and the Pacific growth in 2026 will fall from 5.1, which is a baseline forecast, to 4.7%. And its inflation will rise from 3.6 to 5.8%. It goes on to provide even more serious scenario where disruptions continue, energy prices spike and remain elevated through the first quarter of 2027, right to the end of 2026. In that scenario, the growth rate is forecast to fall even further to 3.8%. In our developing Asian and Pacific region, we need greater growth than that. And inflation rate could rise as high as 6.8%. This is serious stuff, right? This is serious stuff. Now, let's, come back to not being too panicked by this, because the oil prices have fallen a bit and have stabilized recently. But the thing I wanted to bring to your attention is that the nature of this shock is geopolitical. And when you're dealing with geopolitical risks, then there's always a bit of uncertainty. And frankly, we know that situations can actually get pretty bad pretty quickly in this environment. So you combine the effect of this conflict with the ongoing challenges of dealing with increasingly frequent and large-scale natural disasters, and we see that all around us in our region, and ever-increasing demand for energy because we need energy for growth, including through digitalization and AI, it's easy to see why we are facing the most challenging and complex energy environment in Asia and the Pacific. Frankly, many countries in our region are operating in a crisis mode right now. I know we had a wonderful week of energy and excitement and positive things, but I just thought it was important to once again remind you of the landscape within which we are operating in right now. But up against this backdrop, certainly to me, 2 famous quotes come to mind. One was made by Albert Einstein, who said, "In the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity." Winston Churchill also said, everyone knows this one, right? "Never let a good crisis go to waste." So for me, this year's ASEF is all about turning the current crisis into an opportunity to go beyond transition, an opportunity to achieve energy security that is resilient, inclusive, and done in an intelligent way. And for me, that makes all of you in this room the main stars of this crisis into opportunity story, right? That's what you are. You are here at a critical juncture. And what you do next could turn what is an unfortunate crisis into an amazing opportunity that delivers the kind of energy systems we need for our region. And of course, this year's ACEF provided you with plenty of ideas and material for your own script. You get to write your own story. Now, I will do a quick recap of the forum, although the video has done an amazing job of that, to remind you of the rich ideas and material you were exposed to. But before I do that, I wanted to do a quick survey of the room, okay? Because I want to know how much you got out of this forum. The first question is, please put your hand up if you learned at least one new thing during the forum. Okay, well, there you go. That's pretty much everyone, okay? There are some really smart people that knows everything, and I need to go and talk to them later, but there you go, at least one new thing. Let me ask you another question. Please put your hand up if you met at least one new person during the forum. This is a really important one. Fabulous, just as I suspected. Forums like this is all about making new connections, because it's through meeting of minds that you will be able to further innovate, get further energized for your purpose, for your goals in life, really, in life more generally. Now, over the last few days, you have been listening, learning, and putting your heads together to work out what concrete steps are needed to build energy systems that are just right for our region. And to just remind you, the opening plenary started with a big bang, in my view, with some really powerful speeches from President Kanda and others that really gave us a sense of urgency, but the importance of forums like this to come up with solutions. You then had thematic track sessions that you saw, right, on screen, that helped you to delve deeply into all elements of building secure, resilient, inclusive, and intelligent systems. Deep dive workshops built on these and further highlighted AI-enabled solutions, intelligent energy systems, innovative business models, and responsible mineral supply chains even, because that's critical for energy markets. One of the deep dive workshops, I understand, even addressed the elements needed to build the grid of the future for our region. So really practical, fantastic stuff. An important spotlight session explored the emerging role of nuclear energy in achieving energy security and low carbon development. The insights from that session will be critical as we look for ways to further diversify and build energy security for the region. And of course, Elizabeth gave us plenty to think about from the US's perspective and US's support for many of our economies in the region in going through this journey. Our sector and theme sessions brought forward practical solutions based on ADB's own operations. I understand real-world project details were used for this discussion. Personally, I think that's when you learn the best, when you're talking about real-world examples. I hope that you got a lot out of those sessions as well. And of course, finally, before we knew it, we were brought together for this closing plenary. And all I can say is, yes, time flies when you're having fun. And look like you guys were really having fun. So there is no doubt that ACEF 2026 was full of content, energy, and passion. But the story of turning the crisis into opportunity doesn't end here. In fact, one could say the story, the real story, starts right now. As you step out of this room, filled with optimism and hopefully with a long list of things to do, let's carry forward the momentum from this forum. And please remember that together we can build more secure, resilient, inclusive, and intelligent energy systems for Asia and the Pacific. Now, wouldn't that be the perfect happy ending story? Happy ending to our story. So thank you and safe travels. Thank you.
Thank you very much, VP, for your insightful and inspiring remarks.
Let me again thank you, each and every one of you, for sharing your valuable insights and contributing to this year's ASAP. Our heartfelt appreciation also goes to our co-organizer, the Korea Energy Agency, for their invaluable support, and also to multiple donors making ASAP possible in this forum.
And following what VP said, one can never say that enough. We would also like to recognize the hardworking organizing team of ASAP 2026, who have tirelessly worked for the last weeks behind the scenes to make this event a success. Before we close, one final reminder that you will receive a brief feedback form via the Hoover app. Kindly fill it out to help us continue to improve ASAP.
As we conclude ASAP 2026, we look forward to welcoming you all again at the next ASAP.
Thank you all for your contributions.
Goodbye, everyone. Take care until we meet again.